I've been daydreaming about having connection with nature for a long time. In 2017, the idea of thriving with nature was sort of conceived in my mind, and I started doing a permaculture design course. I did syntropic agroforestry course. I flew to Malaysia for that. And then I started studying soil advocacy, and Dr. Elaine Ingham, I was like, these are my people. I love nature and I love learning the systems and how it all connects together. But it was really COVID that actually accelerated the process. I really wanted to, it was a dream that I had, but COVID sort of woke us up. I think most people around that time sort of woke up, am I doing my dream? And yeah, I came up here on a whim, on a holiday, and I fell in love with this area up here in the mountains of Bali. The vision is really about an inner and an outer connection with nature and realigning ourselves, realigning with the vision of, nature is naturally thriving, it naturally regenerates. So I wanted to bring that back. I grew up for some of my childhood on Christmas Island, which is south of Indonesia, and we were the minority. There were Chinese, Malay, and I lived basically in the rainforest. Our parents were having fun, the kids were just running in the jungle, and I think I got used to this different culture, this beautiful culture that we have. And so when I first came to Bali, back to Bali in 2011, I started to fall in love with it. And then it was 2013 that I moved here off a whim. And yeah, it's the Balinese culture, the Balinese people. They have a thing called Tri Hita Karena, which means connection to God, connection to human, and connection to nature. And so I really love that. Why this area? Why regenerative here? It's interesting. Bali, a long time ago, got caught up in the green washing, and there is a lot of chemicals and things that are still being used here, not by any fault of their own. That was the easiest way, what they were taught how to grow. And I've had conversations with people around Bali, people who've been doing this a lot longer than I have, and farmers are affected by the glyphosate. They've died because of the chemicals that they don't have any protection from the chemicals. And so Bali is just very special to my heart. And this particular area, I chose this area because I'm very close to the rainforest. And I wanted to be an extension of the rainforest with the syntropic agroforestry and with what we're doing here, so that we can show that we don't have to live a life that is separate from nature, that we don't have to bring inputs in, that we can actually, if we align with that natural energy of nature thriving, we can thrive too. And if I can be a beacon, I don't want to come here and tell them how to farm, but if I can show them what's possible and they can taste the food and the flavor and see the quality, then they'll naturally mirror that. The problem, especially at the time, especially with COVID, I saw this sudden fear. In fact, if you look at things trending, coming back to growing your own food and coming back to nature was such an obvious impulse that happened over COVID. So for me, it was the problem that I'm trying to solve is just to remind us that we can have modern lives, but live them thriving with nature. Regenerative agriculture. So many people have heard of sustainable. The best way I can explain it is if you think of a relationship, if you have a relationship that's sustaining, it's maintaining where it's at, or if you have a relationship that's regenerating, it's getting better and better and better, that's the difference. Regenerating means it's improving, that it's better than when you found it. You're constantly come back. The soil microbes is really the specific area that we focus on in regards to the regenerating nature back to itself, because nature already knows what it does. If we just give it what it needs, give the microbes what they need, then it will regenerate itself, and we can accelerate that process. If we just let nature do its thing, it will regenerate, but it can take thousands of years and millions of years. But if you know those principles and you know those key aspects to mirror, then you can accelerate that process. There's 5 key principles that we follow here on the regenerative farm. The 5 key principles are: cover your soil, because we get heavy rains. In fact, 4 a.m. this morning it was bucketing down, and we also get wind, we get heavy sun. Nature does this naturally. If you have bare soil, it will automatically try and cover it quickly. It will have the fastest growing, people call them weeds. That's just nature trying to respond and protect itself. So we follow that.
Ya, ini adalah rumput vegetable ya. Ini sangat baik untuk menutup bedeng. Ya, bedeng itu sebelum kita menutup, kita taruh dulu kompos ya. Nah, ini kompos organik tanpa kimia ya. Ini ditabur di bedeng di mana perlu, kemudian menutup dengan vegetable. Nah, tumbuhan vegetable ini sangat bagus sekali juga untuk kompos, karena secara alami nanti vegetable ini akan dimakan oleh mikroba, dan juga rumput ini artinya mengamankan mikroba dari cucuran banyak hujan, dari sengatan matahari, karena tanaman di sini itu sangat banyak memerlukan mikroba. Nah, tanaman itu akan menyimpan mikroba di sisi akar. Nah, kenapa di sisi akar mikroba itu diam? Karena sayuran atau tanaman itu mencari makan dengan akar, kemudian dilakukan fotosintesis, hasil fotosintesis dikembalikanlah ke akar. Jadi di sana antara tumbuhan dan mikroba saling berbagi ya. Nah, itu tujuannya di sini untuk dengan vegetable ini untuk melindungi satu, komposnya tidak terlalu gerah, kemudian mikrobanya juga akan berkembang lebih banyak, karena kita memerlukan mikroba lebih banyak lagi. Ya, ini potongan dari rumput mikroba vegetable. Kemudian ini adalah kompos ya. Kompos yang kita buat sendiri di sini. Ini kompos ini campuran pupuk sapi ya, kotoran sapi. Itu yang maksimal 5 hari ya. 5 hari, 4 hari itu diambillah pupuk sapinya itu, kotoran sapinya itu.
Oke, taruh lagi, ditata lagi, Pak.
Nah, kemudian ditaruh di sini, kemudian menutup dengan vegetable ya, agar kompos dan yang ada mikrobanya tidak kering atau mati
ya. Ya, rapiin.
Ini untuk menutup bedeng atau kompos. Ini harus semuanya merata ini ya, biar sinar mataharinya masuk sedikit, tidak terlalu banyak juga hujan. Kalau hujannya itu jatuh, berarti tanah atau yang di dalamnya itu tidak erosi. Ya, dia mengamankan sendiri.
The second is living roots. So making sure there's always roots in the soil. That's the hotel apartment complex for microbes. So that is where you want the life to be there. If you have bare land, and even if you cover it, if there's no roots, the microbes have no food to eat, and they have no place to live. So you always want to have something in your garden beds. You'll never see an empty garden bed in my place. So number 3, there's animal integration. So what do animals do? They poo, wee, and chew. And on the big plains, their hooves actually aerate the soil. So you can't necessarily have a cow in your vegetable garden at home. So you have to kind of replicate that. So what we do is we have cow manure. We bring that in. We don't let the cow go and poo on our garden. We replicate by pruning. Pruning, what happens when you chew, when the animals chew the grass or the plants, it sends a signal down to the plant to keep growing. So you want to replicate that. And the urea, the wee, we also add the nutrient. It's nutrients that they're adding as well as the microbes and things. So that's animal integration. There's also chicken poop. There's all different types. There's insect poop. There's all the different types. Number 4 is least disturbance. So it's least disturbance rather than no dig, because no dig feels like a perfection thing, in that it's very unattainable. And why do we have that? Because microbes take time to create their environment. Mycelium fungi, it connects to plants, it connects nutrients to other plants. There's documentation of the nutrients traveling kilometers from plant to plant through the mycelium. If you keep continually digging up your garden, you're not getting a chance for the microbes to really establish themselves and build a biodiversity there. So there's a book called Dirt by David Montgomery. It talk about the tilling of the soil actually led to a lot of ancient civilizations' destructions because we killed the soil. So least disturbance, of course, if you have to dig a little bit to put a plant in, that's okay because it's the least disturbance. And number 5 is biodiversity. One of the things you'll see straight away when you're in our farm is there is so much life. There's so many flowers, trees, bushes, vines, salad, you know, everything. We want to have the highest biodiversity because that attracts the highest biodiversity of microbes. It attracts the highest diversity of insects and brings in that optimal health for the plants. Right now, in this present moment, the main crop you'll see is the vegetable garden you see behind me. That is, we have salad packets. We give them out to the community here. The salad packets are our main sort of crop at this point, but we have big vision. So we've got, you'll see also we have bananas, papayas, avocados, curry leaf trees. We've got soursops, milk fruit tree, coconuts. It's a high variety, and very soon we'll be bringing in the syntropic agroforestry side of things, which is even more biodiversity in a forest layered system that will be integrated with chickens and a cow, so that we'll be producing regenerative tree forest eggs. So there's many different systems going on here. Again, really bulking up on that biodiversity. To me, the biggest thing is about the insects and what that attracts. When I first started this land, they had been using chemicals on this land. We'd only seen one type of insect, and it was close to a monocrop. It had salak, which you'll see around us still, which is snake fruit, which is snake fruit. They had cacao and coffee. So we've really bulked up on the biodiversity, because what we've noticed is over time, the insects have come. And I'll share a really cool story about that. When I first came and planted, so I have an amazing farmer, his name's Made Pakwiwin, and he was so open to learning the regenerative methodology, but it was very new. And so when we first planted, I planted a whole sort of leafy lettuce in the veggie garden. And of course, because there's an imbalance around, we got an insane amount of caterpillars, and they were having a great time on our lettuce leaves and all the different salad leaves. And Pakwiwin came to me, was super stressed. And interesting, in Indonesia, the word for insect is serangga, and the word for attack is serangan. And that is sort of like a subconscious thing that the insects are attacking. And I said to him, I don't care if the insects eat absolutely everything. Let's see what nature does. 4 weeks went by, still stressed. He said, can we use organic? Can we do something? I said, I would rather see what happens and see what nature is, because if you insert yourself with an organic pesticide, you will always be inserted in that ecosystem. Whereas I am of the slow gardening kind of methodology. Let's see what nature does. Let's see if we can bring and attract the predators that will create the balance. Sure enough, we did nothing. And after 6 weeks, he excitedly sent me a video of a beautiful wasp picking up a caterpillar and eating it. And he was so excited. I said, exactly, look what's happening. And now about 9 or 10 in the morning, when it's a beautiful sunny day, you'll see the wasp going from garden to garden, looking for its breakfast. And we haven't ever had an infestation of caterpillars again. You'll see the occasional one, and we're fine for them to eat. But there's no problem now. We don't have to worry about that because we've allowed that balance to come back. Well, just like the insects that rebalance itself. That's what diversity does. It strengthens the overall flow of things in nature. When you only have, say, 1 or 2 types of vegetables or types of plants, if an insect loves that plant, it's going to come in and decimate it, as per the caterpillar was having a great time. The land has changed immensely. I've watched it go from a very thick clay soil to now this beautiful lush humus. That's what you eat, humus. So the soil is fluffy and beautiful in the gardens, which feels very satisfying. The insects, watching the different variety of insects. Made, my farmer, will often send me like, "Whoa, this is a new insect." We got very excited about a year or so ago when our first praying mantis arrived and laid a whole heap of eggs. We were like, "Oh my God, this is so amazing," because they're an amazing thing to have in the garden. Well, soil fertility for us is all about farming microbes. It's all about being, what do they need? And those 5 regenerative principles is what the microbes need. So the microbes are absolutely everything, and the more that you can feed into them, then the healthier your plant is and the more nutritious and flavorful. And when we can appreciate nature in that way, we can really start to respect it and look after her and become part of that. So I invite you to go out and see nature connecting. What gives me most hope when I look at the future of food is that connection that people are starting to have, that movement towards regenerative agriculture. You've got people like the Carbon Cowboys they're really focusing on the science behind regenerative agriculture. You've got Kiss the Ground, which is an amazing organization in America that really focuses on you understanding. So what gives me hope is that the innate connection with nature, we all have it because we are part of nature and we're here to be the guardians. And when you tap into that, I get so much hope because you will naturally start to protect it and look after it. So I'm ever the optimist. I'm such a positive person, and I do believe that the pure intention of ourselves is we want to protect nature and we want to thrive with it. So yeah, that gives me hope.